Welcome to the latest episode of Five on the Floor on the Five Reasons Sports Network. Thanks for joining us on your favorite podcast app on Apple Podcasts, on Android. We recommend Spotify. Also, check out the Five Reasons YouTube channel. Previews of the Miami Notre Dame game, previews of the Dolphins season. If you're a football fan, we have everything covered for you there, as well as Messi and Company if you follow Inter Miami. Also, check out Off the Floor. That's our Discord server. That's basketball. Link right here in the description. $2.99. Bypass the Apple upcharge. You can cancel at any time. 10 different channels. We're actually adding a channel. We're adding two channels. We're gonna add a fantasy gambling channel and we're gonna add a Eurobasket channel. So get in there now and you can hang out with us over the next few days during Eurobasket as we follow that. Also stage shows and more. It's Off the Floor. Also Prize Picks. Use the code 5 FIVE. I want to stop talking about baseball and WNBA here. It's football season, NFL, everything's loaded up there. Play Tyreek, play Tua. There's a Dak prop. I'm not supposed to say prop. There's a Dak play on there. Use the code 5 FIVE. More or less, that's all you got to do. Flex plays, power plays, and more. Go to prizepicks.com. Use the code 5. And now, our new intro. Thanks again to our guy, Music by Mercy.
Uh-oh. Yeah. It's Mercy. Music by Mercy again. Heat Nation, we the culture. Yo, E, I need you to call timeout. Need ready to set the floor plan. Tropical blanket, open for the shot. Yo, Greg, set the pit. Still 5 on the floor, still ride for my dog. Still battle on the court, still survive in the war. Keep your eye on the ball, or get burned from the keep this mic off the wall without turning the cheek. From night to day, no sleepy paths or allowed to morning. The nut is sleeping us, never catch us snoring. Live from Miami, report in the heat with 5 Reasons Sports from the courts to the streets. Yeah, Wade County, Heat Nation, we still proud.
Welcome to Five on the Floor, a daily insider show on the Miami Heat and the NBA, featuring Ethan Skolnick, Greg Sylvander, Alex Toledo, Brady Hawk, and others from the Five Reasons Sports Network. Also, make sure to subscribe to Off the Floor for the most heat anywhere.
All right, we may need to clip the end of that a little bit. I'm going to tell Alex. That kind of goes on a long
It's
time.
triumphant, though.
Song's great, but yeah, it's we don't want to be starting these episodes 13 minutes in. Today's floor plan, I'm Ethan Skolnick. You can follow me at Ethan J. Skolnick. I got 5 Reasons Sports. I got Greg Sylvander. You can follow me at Greg Sylvander. We're doing lots of different episodes. You're taking over that Brady thing, by the way. One improvement that the key players on this team need to make, one for each. He and I did Tyler Hero. Maybe I'll do the Bam one with him because I know you've talked a lot of Bam lately. But then I'll let you handle Wiggins, Powell, and Jovic, or Ware. We can split those up. Also, our 2006 commemorative series with Mateo Mayorga and I both doing the hosting on that. So you can catch that here on the feed. And State of the Heat. We've now done 7 episodes. The last one, I have no explanation for Eternal, but we're going to do a couple more of those as we go forward here, and then I'm going to pick a word. I don't know that I'll pick Alex's or Eternals. I'll just put that out there, sort of deciding between a lot of the others. All right, what we're going to do, though, is we're going to go through the list. It's aggregation time. I follow a lot of this stuff now because I do some of it myself for Sports Illustrated, although I try to just post our own work. But CBS Sports recently did this, and it got a little bit of attention, ranking top 25 NBA players of the 21st century. From LeBron to Russ, Kobe misses the top 5, Jokic over Shaq. They hit all the keynotes there. By the way, I know a couple of these writers. Brad Bodkin, I've known for a long time. James Herbert, I don't know Jasmine Wimbish, but assume quite qualified. And we're going to go through this because of one name on the list here. So we're going to make an argument for whether or not he should be higher or lower. So let me go through the list. Let's go through the top of this, and then we'll get to kind of where we're going. There can't really be any argument that LeBron shouldn't be number 1, right? Okay, we're talking 20. I mean, Jordan was done at the very tail end of the 21st century, and he was a wizard. So, right,
he was best as a Miami Heat player.
Of the 20th century. Of the 20th century, right? Exactly. Okay, so Jordan has his number of retire in the rafters. LeBron doesn't. But anyway, end of the 20th century. I mean, okay, LeBron first. Steph second. Without even going any further, I'm not going to argue with this because The man changed the game. He did. And you could tell right from the very beginning after he got through the ankle injuries. But once he got through the ankle injuries, I remember him coming in with Golden State. This is before they were championship caliber, but I think when Mark Jackson was still the coach. And we were standing outside the locker room because the coaches would do their pregame before the game, pregame outside the locker room, the visitors' locker room. And Mark Jackson said, "This is the greatest shooting backcourt of all time." He said this about Curry and Clay. That's before they won anything. I don't agree with Mark Jackson about just about anything in life, but he was right about that, although Steve Kerr bore the fruit of it. But this is a little controversial, I guess, because Tim Duncan did a lot of winning in the 21st century, and he's third. But some of that winning did come a little before it. 97 to 2016, he played. They won a title in 99 against the Knicks. Look, Tim Duncan to me has become over time, and it is not surprising, one of the most underappreciated players in NBA history. I think David Robinson is too.
To
Yeah,
me,
right? I mean, just nothing is flashy. That's it.
I hate to, and we won't spend a lot of time on positions necessarily, but like to me, if we're going to categorize guys in positions, he's the best power forward of all time, as far as I'm concerned.
Yes. And if Carmelo was, we wouldn't say it. So there you go.
There you go.
So Tim Duncan's number 3 there on the list. It's hard to argue. Some people might put Duncan ahead of Curry. Nobody's putting anybody ahead of LeBron. Okay, Jokic, 4th. Now, this is it's remarkable in itself because you're talking about a second-round pick, right? And at the time, it was like, is Jokic even better than Nurkic? He's only won 1 title, but he's won, 3 MVPs? It really should be 4, I think. The one Embiid got, I think probably Jokic probably should have gotten that one. I didn't have an argument with Shea winning this past year, but I mean, we're going to look at the next guy. Let's do this together because Jokic is ahead of Shaq.
And this is here's what's interesting about this is that if you just say as a pure basketball player, there's no doubt that to me, Jokic is better than Shaq. Like he can do it all. And obviously his trajectory in his career being that he has a championship and a finals MVP, if he were to stack onto that, maybe one day. But to me, I don't know how you can have him ahead of Shaq yet, because Shaq was what Steph Curry was in terms of being unguardable at times and changed the game. There were also times where people had to game plan for Shaq and triple team him, and they couldn't officiate him correctly. And he was a freak of nature in terms of the way that he physically imposed. I mean, even like Zoe looked compared to
Dwarf-like.
So to me, also with the titles, he was so dominant against Indiana and New Jersey and Philly. I don't know how you can get him ahead of Joker, or that you don't have him in front of Joker. But obviously, like they're splitting hairs because Jokic is really, as an all-around basketball player, I mean, he could become the best we've ever seen. Who knows?
I'm not the biggest Shaq guy, but I would have him ahead of Jokic at this point because I think there's a little bit of splitting hairs here in this one comment from Brad Bodkin. He says, the championship that Jokic won with the Nuggets sans a single all-star teammate is a greater accomplishment than any championship Shaq ever won alongside Kobe or Dwyane. That's true. He didn't have an true all-star teammate. He never has, by the way. He's never had an all. I mean, Jamal Murray probably should have been one year, but has not been, right? Okay, but let's put a little context into this. And I hate to say this because the Heat were on the other side of this, but Jokic did not have the toughest opponent in the final. I mean, this was a Heat team where Jimmy was on one leg.
Yeah.
And it was Vincent and Strus. And it was Vincent and Strus starting in the backcourt. I mean,
the game plan was let Bam shoot, and they could get away with it in that series. And they were out completely.
Whereas Shaq, and again, this is even taking out his 92 to 99 seasons, which were Orlando, by the way. But the Lakers run, again, I covered those finals. I mean, he was 35 and 15, 35 and 16, something like that. He was by far the Lakers' best player in those finals. There's a lot of revisionist history about Kobe, but again, I was there. There was a lot of writing at the time about how Kobe was breaking out as a star, but it was Shaq, okay? And I know that Shaq was not a huge scoring contributor in the 2006 finals, and we've we're doing lots of episodes about that. But of course, Avery Johnson still double teamed him like he was, and that helped Dwyane,
And all
who
the
we're going to talk
series
about in the second half of
beforehand,
the
he was
episode.
very productive. So it was just in the
Right.
finals, his points per game went down, but he was productive in the series before that against Detroit.
Well, he
and
dropped
Chicago.
off. He dropped off after that finals. He dropped off during that season, but he still had 2000 through 2004 dominant with the Lakers. Last season with the Lakers was not as good. That's one of the reasons Miami was able to get him. But then he had a great season with Miami in his first season, probably should have been MVP. Then up and down the next year, but wins a championship, then sort of stopped caring, and he was traded. And then Phoenix, and then he had a couple stops with the Cavaliers and the Celtics. I think they're taking away from him here again because
They can't
some
count
of
the
it was
Magic
done
years.
prior to.
Yeah.
They're counting out the Magic years, and the Magic, he did take them to the finals, even though they got swept by Akeem. But I think I would probably have him fourth ahead of Jokic, although that could change. Now Kobe's sixth. See, I could argue for Kobe ahead of both of them.
Me too. I could.
Right? I mean, and I wasn't the biggest Kobe guy either, by the way. I could argue for him above both of them actually at this, not ahead of Duncan, and that is something some people do. They put him ahead of Duncan. I'm not putting him ahead of Duncan because Duncan was the best player on those teams. Kobe was the best player on the two with Gasol, but he wasn't even the best player in one of those finals. Tim Duncan, I know Kawhi was better in one of the finals, but Tim Duncan was the pillar, even with Parker, even with Ginobili.
He's their Alonzo Mourning.
Correct, but better, right?
Yeah,
but
exactly.
I think you could say Kobe. I'm sorry. Yeah, no, Zoe's got a lot of. By the way, Bleacher Report did this thing. We're gonna get to Dwyane here in a second, where they did their. This was a terrible one. This one at least is representative. Bleacher Report went through, and I know it's difficult, but they did a Mount Rushmore for every franchise from this same thing this century. And they had Dwyane and they had LeBron. There's no argument about that. They had Jimmy. I can make an argument against that. But having him in the top four, you and I have both kind of done that, even with the way it's ended. But even, I know you're the biggest Bam guy in the world, but they had Bam as one of the four. And I mean, there's a recency bias to
It's too soon.
Bam wouldn't put himself ahead of Zoe.
No, not yet.
Or Shaq.
No.
Or Bosh. At this point, I think the Bosh argument can come, but anyway. Okay, Kobe at 6. All right, I would have him a little bit higher, even though I wasn't the biggest Kobe guy at the time. All right, let's get to the others, and then we'll get to why we're actually doing this episode on the other side. Giannis is 7, 1 championship, 1 MVP, I believe, twice, 2, 1 Defensive Player of the Year,
and he got that Finals MVP.
And the Finals MVP, right? I think he's perfectly placed, honestly.
Yep.
But ahead of
8, I may say Durant could go ahead of him because he has 2 Finals MVPs.
Mm-hmm.
Even though I know there's going to be a Golden State, does he get marked off for his Golden State years, even though they were great and it was just such a.
He won the Finals MVP there. I mean,
he did twice.
He won it over Steph. I don't. The Durant versus Giannis one is really interesting. Giannis has been more of a defensive force than KD. KD, KD's been better defensively until recently than he was given credit for. But Giannis, is elite defensively. Mm-hmm. Giannis can't do the one thing that KD does. If you combine Giannis and Durant, you'd have the best player of all time. But he doesn't do that one thing. He's not as aesthetically pleasing to watch as KD has been. But I think what's being marked down here is that Giannis is getting credit for staying so far, whereas KD has never stayed anywhere. Yeah. So
to be as good as he is, as great as he is, and have a 17-year career where he's played for 5 teams, and it could be more than that. I don't know that he's done with the teams he's played for. So that's an interesting thing for Durant.
Well, he's going to play with Miami. He's going to play with Miami at 48 years old. We know that. All right. So on the other side we're going to get to the reason we actually did this episode. But let me just ask you: are you going to make an argument for Dwyane Wade at ahead of any of those 8? Because I can't.
No. I think that because Giannis also is going to project forward as a really great player in the coming years, it's going to be interesting to see how his game ages, but he is so refined physically that I think he's going to figure out a way to be effective no matter what. Like I get that sense from the way he approaches things. And Durant just is on another tier from a scoring perspective, but that's where we're going to get to a little bit more of some controversial rankings.
Yeah, I mean, Giannis has 2 MVPs and Dwayne didn't get one, and to me, that kind of sums it up. Although Dwayne probably should have had one, but he didn't. So
And
that's it.
Dwayne's finals run, actually 2 of them, but really the 06 run to me was more legendary than what Giannis accomplished. But some people would probably argue that getting a title in Milwaukee is a feat in itself.
It is. Yeah, I can't argue him ahead of him. All right. On the other side of this, we'll talk about 2 players ahead of Dwayne. So I've already given it away. He's 11th. That you don't necessarily agree with, but I think some will. So we'll get into that on the other side of this. Before we do, I want to talk about our friend Nelson over at c-armandstaffing.com. If you work in a medical office, listen up. If you don't, we understand. This may not be for you. But if you do, and we know a lot of you do, 561-891-9620. That's 561-891-9620. Mobile C-Arm and Staffing Services or C-Arm and Staffing, C-armandstaffing.com. Here's where you got to go there. They bring the x-ray equipment and staffing to you. Huge Miami Heat fans, big in the local community, great people. They do a great job. And here's the other thing. If you are looking to be an x-ray tech, they're looking for those. So go to their website, c-armandstaffing.com. Reach out to them today. Tell them 5 Reasons sent you, and just check it out. Again, it's c-armandstaffing.com. Okay. Number 9, KG. Number 10, Dirk. Number 11, Dwayne. Number 12, Chris Paul. We'll take that group, okay? Because they did the top 15. Dirk and Dwayne are always linked. They were linked in terms of playing 2 finals against each other. 2006, Dwayne denied Dirk a championship. Then Dirk came back the next year. They won 67 games, got eliminated by the We Believe Golden State team. Then 2011, of course, as you mentioned, Dwayne probably could have been MVP of that series, but LeBron choked and Mike Bibby played. And so as a result of that, I want to go on Mike Bibby's podcast, by the way, because he has one now, and just ask, what the hell? What was that? Like, were you tanking on purpose? Like, what was going on? And why was Spo continuing to, when we talk about Spo and sort of thinking a guy is going to turn it around, like he did with Terry Rozier last year, even when people in the Heat organization, there's precedent for this. Like, Spo thinks a guy is going to return to his norm. Sometimes the guy does not. So that's what happened there. Anyway, not only did they have the 2 finals against each other, but then, and they didn't really like each other at that point, but then they got into the Hall of Fame together, and now they're like close friends, Dirk and Dwayne. And they're always linked because even though Dwayne left, Dwayne didn't want to leave. And nobody really wants to remember the Chicago or Cleveland years. So Dwayne is like still in the eyes of most Heat lifer, okay, and should be. And Dirk is ultimate Mavs lifer, which is what Luka wanted to be, by the way, before he was traded. So they are always linked. They have Dirk ahead of Dwayne. They also have KG ahead of Dwayne. And here's the thing with KG. It's a little complex here. KG was a rookie in 95. So some of what he produced in Minnesota, and again, he was part of the new wave he was known as the kid at that point. He came in straight out of high school when a lot of these guys were coming straight out of high school. He didn't win anything with the Wolves. He did get to a conference finals. I believe that was, I forgot which year that was. They got to it. That was with Cassell, and he got an MVP. And he was also one of these loyalists, didn't want to leave. And then basically, Kevin McHale did Danny Ainge a favor and sent him to Boston. KG reluctantly went, was not quite the same player, but still a pretty damn good 2-way force. And, of course, won the greatest title of all time, according to Bostonians, that 2008 title. On a team
I don't agree with where KG's ranked. I think Dwayne should be ahead of him. Dwyane.
Okay, now make your argument. Go ahead.
Dwyane was the best player on a championship team. Kevin Garnett was never the best player on a championship team. Those Minnesota teams, they were good, and he had a couple seasons where he was a very high seed. You mentioned Sam Cassell. I think Spreewell was out there with them for a little bit. And they tried to get it done, ultimately never did. And I think that this is a little bit of the Boston bias, because when he got to Boston, he was sort of in certain ways like the Chris Bosh, kind of like the most important player, but not the best player.
Yeah.
At least that's how I remember it. Maybe people will come and correct me about that. But Dwyane being an absolute, as Riley said, BIW, best in the world. He was that in that 06 run, and he would have had 2 finals MVPs if the 2011 series didn't go differently. And that's why I also think Dwyane should be ahead of Dirk, even though I understand people are going to give Dirk a boost because of his international appeal and him being, unless you count Tim Duncan, he's, maybe the best international basketball player ever, right?
Well, that's an interesting one, because we have now the league is run by the top guys in the league. Like Jokic is up there for sure, and he's ahead of him on this list. Giannis, all these guys are playing in Eurobasket, by the way. And Luka now is on a course to maybe surpass Dirk. We'll see. It would have been easier to compare him if he was still in Dallas.
I guess
yeah,
Joker's already ahead of Dirk. So what am I talking about, right?
No, well, I think Dirk was for a very long period of time, and I think you had that group. Obviously Parker, Ginobili, there a whole bunch of guys from different places. But now, again, there's not the depth of international players that there are American players. But of the top 10 players in the league, 7 of them I think are born out of this country. I'll say this on KG. I think Dirk should be ahead of KG. And even though I think KG was the better two-way player, there's no argument about that. KG was a force of nature defensively,
for sure.
But I'm
and
with
ahead of
you
his
in
time with his archetype.
Right. But we're right. By the time he got to Boston, offensively, he was pretty much a mid-range shooter.
Yep.
He was not the above the rim guy that he'd been before. He was pretty much a mid-range shooter.
Yeah.
He was a lot like Bosh, like you said. Like, he anchored the defense more ferociously than Bosh did, obviously. Although Bosh was critical to what he did, but also, additionally, he gave them scoring. But you're right. As much as I hate to say it, Paul Pierce was their scorer. That was who they went to down the stretch of games. It wasn't necessarily KG. Dirk carried everything. If you go back to first thing, he took 2 different types of teams to the finals. The 2006 team he took, Josh Howard was his second best player. Jason Terry was there. Then you look at 2011, and that was a team of like vets who were not what they used to be. But really smart. Sean Marion, Jason Kidd, that group that beat the Heat in that final. But Dirk was relied upon every night to get them 25 every night.
Right.
And
you're right. He deserves
he was
to be
basically
ahead of KG and Dwyane. I'm going to just retract
with
that
you.
right now.
I think Dirk is 9. I think the better argument is KG versus Wade. I know people are going to get on me about the Dwyane Dirk thing, but it really comes down to this for me. First thing, again, Dirk had to carry the team both times. Dwyane didn't. Dwyane did to a certain degree in 06, but he didn't in the big 3 years.
Well,
the other part of this,
the big 3. Like,
Dirk beat the big 3 basically by himself. And here's the other thing about Dwyane. He just wasn't as available as Dirk. I do think that matters. To me, Dwyane is one of the great what-ifs in history. If he doesn't get the cartilage shaved when he's in college, you just never know, because he may have been able to sustain the level that he had in 2008 through 2010 for longer. He still was pretty elite in 2010, 2011. The drop-off kind of happened sort of right around the 27-game winning streak in 12-13. 13-14, he wasn't very available. 14-15, that was a bad team. That was after LeBron left. They were dealing with the Bosh stuff. The next year, Dwyane was a good player. But again, the peak was short. I think his peak was higher than Kobe's. That's another argument to make. But
that's another pod.
It is, but it didn't last as long. And so I don't think you could put him ahead of Dirk. I think him and KG is an argument, and I would probably put Dwyane ahead of him, even though KG was a more transformational player, because Dwyane did take a team and carry it to a championship. And I just think that matters more. And KG did win an MVP, but Dwyane should
Udonis
have.
doesn't like KG, so we're going with Dwyane. Damn it, Udonis decides that.
We'll decide that one. Although I kind of like KG, I just don't like Pierce. There's no argument to make for Chris Paul ahead of any of them. Although I think he belongs on the list. He's 12th.
Yeah.
Kawhi 13th, but Kawhi to me is a what if also. Like Kawhi has been the best player in the league in pockets of time, but not healthy enough. 14th is Nash. It's an interesting one. 96 through 96 through 2000. Remember, he didn't play a lot with Phoenix. He kind of blossomed with Dallas. He did win the 2 MVPs. I'm okay with it there. Harden 15th. I ain't putting Harden on any list. Did they miss? Would you put Chris Bosh ahead of James Harden?
Absolutely. Also, like Jason Kidd is 2 spots below James Harden. Like, what are we doing?
Luka's 16. I didn't even realize it went past 15. Jason Kidd should not be below Harden. Jason Kidd took a team to the finals, right? And then won a championship as a support player.
Yeah.
Right. Well, he took the Nets. Oh, he took the Nets twice. You're right. He took them. They lost to the Lakers and the Spurs. Yep. And he totally transformed that Nets team when he got there. Harden, I'm sorry, I can't put Harden in the top 20 because he's never done a damn thing in the playoffs.
Shouldn't be on this list. Sorry.
Totally with you. Okay. By the way, for those who want some positive to look forward to this year, you know who the Clippers went to in the clutch last year. It wasn't James. James shot 33% overall. Norm Powell shot 52% and 51% from 3. So there you go. That in clutch situations last year for the Clippers. Dwight Howard 18th. I think he's probably 2. Would you put Dwight Howard ahead of Anthony Davis?
That's Dwight did get his team as the best player in 09. He got to the finals against the Lakers. Obviously, Kobe won that series, but Dwight was, I mean, after the big 3 lost, Ethan, there were a lot of Heat fans that wanted the Heat to trade either Bosh or even Dwyane to pair with LeBron and get Dwight Howard. It was completely fantasy talk, but like that was like, I remember in the early Twitter years, people were, campaigning for that. That's how good Dwight was, but it was a very short stint where he was that great to me. I don't know how high I'd have him, and I definitely wouldn't have him higher than Jason Kidd, which they don't on this list. But Anthony Davis, those New Orleans teams were bad.
Yeah, they were.
I don't know. With what he's done with LA, the one title in the bubble.
He shot out of his mind for about 2 weeks in the bubble, basically. Great player, but I don't think he's a player that's going to be remembered like some of these others are because he hasn't carried. And I think the plan was for him to carry with the Lakers as LeBron got older, but it didn't end up materializing. By the way, I'm going to argue with one other here, and then we'll get out of here. I understand Allen Iverson was not that efficient. Okay, I get it. In today's game, the analytics guys would not like him. He's 20th. There is no way in hell I'm taking James Harden ahead of Allen Iverson. I am sorry. No. Okay, and
ask all these players. You don't got to ask us who don't know shit. Go ask them.
I wonder if Dwyane had truth serum. Okay, on this. Okay, because we know how he reveres Iverson. Look, 96 through 2000, you got to wipe it out. Iverson was there. I understand that some of his last years were not good. The Memphis thing, the Detroit thing, but okay.
Does that negate
Allen Iverson? No, it doesn't, and that's the thing. Allen Iverson, took maybe the worst team to the finals of all of those years. They added Mutombo during the season.
At the deadline,
he got a finals win, game 1, didn't get another one, but he got the only win against the Lakers. And Shaq has said recently he's pissed they didn't go 16-0. He got the only win against that dominant Shaq, Kobe, I think Glenn Rice team, and so. Sorry, Iverson should be higher. McGrady 21st on talent alone, absolutely top 15 in this list. A lot of injuries, a lot of playoff losses. I get it. Dame 22nd, Tatum 23rd. I'm skipping over that. Shai Gilgeous-Alexander 24th.
He'll be higher in a few years.
He will. And Russ 25, who to me is the most problematic person because I don't know where to put him.
Because the peak was really fun and really like dynamic, and I know that when Jimmy first came, a lot of people thought that the Heat could potentially get Russ. Like that,
Mhm.
I remember those podcasts. So like it's a situation where it's difficult because also his tough years have been
Mhm.
really ugly.
Yeah. Well, he's unemployed right now. He's on a yacht. I mean, the Heat could bring him back right now if they wanted to, but they're not going to. I've grown affection for Russ and what he's accomplished over the years, while also realizing that you're never really going to win anything big with him. But I like him better as a player than Harden, and I know I'm probably alone on that one. But
No, I'm with you. But
James
I
Harden,
really just I'm not into
James
James
Harden
Harden.
tanked
Sorry.
James Harden tanked the 2012 Finals. Like the single biggest reason the Heat won that series was Battier locked up Harden. He just like everything else was equal. And Harden, it was the sixth man of the year that year, and just did nothing in that final series, just like he's done nothing
It's
in
the
the
only
playoffs since.
finals he's ever been to, right?
Right. Yes.
Uh-huh.
Anyway, well, they have Wade ahead of Harden, so I'm taking that. But I think you would probably. Are we going to agree then on Wade at 10? That's where he should have been
Yeah, right
behind
about.
Dirk, but
I'll make a compassionate concession for Dirk, but I'll
okay.
still argue the KG one.
I'm with you on that one. I'll give that one to you. All right. Thanks to our sponsors. We appreciate it. Everybody, keep making stupid lists. We got to get through September. Have a good one.
Thank you for listening to the Five on the Floor on the Five Reasons Sports Network. After all, someone needs to listen to my dad.